Hello everyone, this is a psychic prediction video and psychic reading for June 2023. Coming up here in a couple days. It is May 30th right now. So the first thing that I was seeing when I was tuning in for June was the earth casting out demons energetically on a more spiritual level. And this affecting the frequency of the planet and the consciousness of the people on the planet. And this being a big deal, there's a lot of shift and change happening on that level. So previously, about 2 months or so ago, I was saying for April, there was this black gooey energy of pain that was stuck within the auric field of the earth that was being expelled slowly, but it was more about stimulating an awareness of that. You can go back and listen to that if you want. But then May, that energy was starting to release more once it became more stimulated. Then it can start to be gotten rid of. But there's also this resistance to that, and so it's kind of like this battle of these two forces. And so now that we're moving into June, what I'm seeing for June is that we're really starting to clear more of that energy, and our bodies are having to learn to adjust to these new frequencies, because when you clear something out, you make room for something new. And so what's coming in is more energy that's more in alignment with our truth and our spiritual purposes. So later on in this video, I'm going to get into politics, the world economy. I see some definite big changes happening within the world economy and the powers on the planet on a political level, and Bitcoin and the general advice. But for now, I just want to talk about the energy a little bit. It just seems like it's such a big deal this month. So when I was first tuning into this energy, the first thing that was coming to me was just a bunch of kind of general ideas about, well, it showed up as this green energy. And then I also got this sense of this slimy butter consistency, and the feeling that there's something about that that's kind of fake and forced, kind of like a fake smile. And then when I was tuning more into what is this about, I got a image of a family and people being stuck in a family situation where they may want to get out, they may feel trapped. I was hearing the phrase specifically, "I don't want to be here." And I was getting the sense that there's people in a crowd going with the crowd, going with the flow, but not really feeling quite right about it, but still not necessarily speaking up about it and doing something about that. So this fake yellow butter energy that I was sensing was about how people feel like they can't really be themselves, and so that may be an obstacle to overcome in this month coming up here. Now, to focus more on the positive aspect, that's the negative aspect, but the positive aspect of this was that it's giving people a sense or an opportunity to really slow down and kind of become more grounded and notice the things that they haven't noticed before. And while this is a positive, it may sound like a negative, but I saw a vision of a family on a boat in the river, and it was like, because they were just taking the time to be quiet, they found a dead body underneath the water. So this may sound negative, but it's discovering something that has been there, and now they have the awareness and the opportunity to improve their situation because of this new awareness. So I was asking, there seems to be a lot of obstacles showing up. So what can people do about this? And I was getting that rewarding other people in some way is very important here as a way to kind of break out of that energy of feeling stuck. Like if you feel stuck in a situation, you can tell people what you want and tell people what you're interested in. And when people, you know, vibe with what you like, you show them support. You kind of reward them in some way, and just the sense of rewarding people was coming up, however that may manifest for you. And I was asking, what is all this about? Why is this such a big deal? And I was getting brain fog. Like, there's a lot of brain fog for people at the beginning of the month. And so it's really important to be clear to other people in the way that, people just kind of are almost lost mentally. And so giving people a foundation, kind of like telling people what you're interested in and kind of rewarding people for interactions and whatnot, it gives more of a direction of things, so people feel less brain foggy, and you're being more clear about things. It seems like there can be an issue with just leaving things too open-ended. I was also getting that you don't want to dig for answers from other people. You don't want to be like inquisitive, but instead give your own answers to people. And in some way that is kind of like a reward. If no one takes charge, what I was getting is that everyone will just follow the crowd aimlessly, and they're not really doing it for themselves or for their own inner truth. They're just doing it because that's just what they think they're supposed to do, and so everybody gets trapped in that, and no one's really in charge. And so when no one's taking charge, it's just aimless. So taking charge of the situations brings more truthfulness and meaningful interactions, which is important. So it's important to say what you want and what you like. And this is mostly at the very beginning of the month, and as the month goes on, this energy kind of fades away. But I was also seeing a vision of the second chakra, which is a energy center just right around the belly button, maybe just a little bit below the belly button. And what I was seeing in that was a key, and it was as if this key needs to be turned. There's a lot of these stuck emotions of self-defeat. And so by sharing what inspires you with others, you're turning that key and you're unlocking that stagnant energy to flow again. So people can become stuck in their emotions about the past. And a big theme coming up here is mortality. Like, in other words, death or your limited lifespan, and really looking at the bigger picture. In fact, I was getting the sense that people this month in June can feel older, as if people are older than they were a month or two ago. This is also related to being more grounded, which is just what's going to be happening energetically to people. And people are going to be asking themselves what's really important in life. And these are, the bigger pictures that people may experience. These are like questions people may ask themselves on their deathbed. And so mortality seems to be a theme here. People are no longer able to gloss over these types of things. And even things like crimes against humanity are coming up. as things to be dealt with for the month. There's the sense of right or wrong and compassion. I hear people say, I want to break free. And by the end of the month, I do see this happening. People are kind of breaking out of this energy, and it's like people are gaining traction again. So the start of the month is mind fog, and later on there's more activities. So when I was asking kind of like what's the cause of this, I was getting that this earth energy, there's this energy from the earth. I saw it as this blue energy representing clarity that is coming through and slowly knocking out all this stuff. But in the process, it creates a little confusion because of the change. Any sort of change kind of creates confusion. But with this, it's creating a humbleness, bringing more of a humble feeling to people. And I was getting that a lot of people, or some people, may be drawn towards worship and religious activities. Along with this is this sense of right or wrong, but more on a spiritual level. And it's not so much like what you are taught is right or wrong. It's more just what you feel is right or wrong, more on a spiritual level. And this really being kind of like pounded into our heads through the universe, I guess you could say. And as a result of these changes, we are adapting. And I'm seeing a lot of opinions being let go. People are letting go of these opinions as part of a process to rewire the brain, bringing in new thought patterns, new energy patterns into the body. And as a result, we may actually start to feel tired at the start of the month. You may even already be feeling that as a something that happens before that shift even really starts. Although we may be kind of easing into it already. So I don't know about you, but I've already been feeling that way, where I feel like I just want to take an extra long nap or just lay in bed extra long in the morning if I'm able to. So that does seem beneficial for the body, because the body has to kind of catch up to where their spirit is. So there's this sense of what is sacred as well that has to do with this shift. And so embracing what feels sacred to you is a very positive thing to do, which is again part of this shifting of consciousness. And the second half of the month, that kind of ends, and the newer energy comes into place to kind of replace the old energy. And so around that time, there's more action-oriented situations, and that's because we become more aware of what is serving us and what is not serving us once we get through the brain fog of the transition. Okay, so I'm done with the more abstract energy aspects here, so I want to move more into the politics and what's going on politically and geopolitically with the powers in the world. So when I tuned into Joe Biden, the first thing I got was him being dumbfounded by something, and he doesn't know what to say. This doesn't seem like a positive thing for him. He's walking away from a situation, and he's quietly accepting some form of disappointment. I hear him saying, "We are trying our best." And when I asked, what is this about, I got that it's not entirely related to Ukraine or China, although those seem to be part of the equation. But this is more so news on a global scale. and I will get more into that later. But I will just say for now that it does not look good for the U.S. economy. But I would also like to add to that that it doesn't look dramatically bad either. It doesn't. It's not the end of the world. It's not. It's not like the economy is just gonna completely tank. It's just. It's not good news, is all. But it's not horrible. Maybe looking long term, you could say it's horrible news, but again, it depends on your outlook as well. But for the month, it's not going to cause tragedy within June 2023. Okay, Bitcoin. I'm seeing a good start to the month, and then I see it taper off. So, seems relatively decent. Not anything groundbreaking, but it seems positive in the sense that the start of the month seems good. So Putin, I see him in celebration mode around this world economy situation. That again is not just about Ukraine, but that is part of it. But this has more to do with big geopolitical changes. And there are deals being made with Russia that is causing Putin to be in celebration mode. So then when I tune into Ukraine, I didn't see Ukraine doing poorly. I actually got the sense that Ukraine was doing okay despite all this and standing strong, actually, was the sense that I got. Um, Although it doesn't seem like the previous month was that great for Ukraine, and I'm not basing this off news, this is just the sense that I get. Um, but moving into June, it seems better for Ukraine, the people of Ukraine, the government of Ukraine, the overall energy of Ukraine. And they seem to be doing good until the following month, or into the following month, sorry. And then around August, it seems like Ukraine could go downhill again. Like there could be some issues there for Ukraine. Um, as far as the world news and these changes that I was tuning into already, I wanted to tune more into that, and what I was getting was, well, again, major changes with global powers that's very disappointing for Biden. I saw him shying away from the situation, turning white, and this was more like his energy field turning white. And I mean, you could compare it to how people say someone turns white when they see a ghost. It's kind of the same idea. This is more his energy reacting in that way, kind of not wanting to be present and kind of being like off in the clouds more. Um, and I also got the sense that there was not much that he could do, which is kind of why he was going kind of off to, the cloud land rather than being present. Um, I got that this has to do with BRICS countries gaining more power against the US economy. And so it just looks like this is a really big deal. And it's going to be influencing June and the world economy very significantly. So, what is June good for? The first thing that came to me was washing the baby, and that's kind of strange. But when I asked, what does that mean? I got that this is about cleaning that which is new so it can bloom and flourish. So taking the time to clean up some sort of new situations that may be happening or new changes in your life, taking the time to, so to speak, weed around that area so that that can really bloom and flourish. Also, what is good June for? What is June good for? Taking a good look at the monsters in our lives that may have been too big to look at in the past. And again, this has to do with the shifting of the energies on the conscious level of the planet, where, like I was saying, it's kind of about casting out the darker, I guess you could say, the demons from the earth, so to speak. And now we're able to look at these big pictures, these big monsters in our lives that we didn't want to in the past. So it's a good month for taking the time to do that and to acknowledge things. So it's also a good month for what I was getting was wearing the clothing that we need rather than trying to compete or impress with glamour. And so the clothing in this case, and a lot of the times when I do readings for people, this always comes up as clothing. It almost always represents the role that we are playing, kind of like the saying, wearing someone else's shoes is representing the situation they're in. The clothing generally represents the identity or the social mask that someone may be wearing, or just the role that they're playing. Um, I was also getting that this simple, or the idea of wearing clothing that we need rather than trying to be glamorous also represents simplicity rather than complexity, and this has to do with the need to be more humble this month, because that's just where the energies are at, and what is more, I want to say, successful, I guess you could say, or what is more in alignment with the shifts going on. So another thing that June is good for is finding what may be of value in your family lineage. And so this could have to do with researching the past, but also it has to do with finding what needs to be respected more, and maybe what has been forgotten about within family lineages, and also finding out more of the truth, and maybe even what doesn't need to be honored as much as it may, kind of like balancing things out, finding the truth. Also, researching geopolitical locations came up. It was like someone with a map and pointing things out on the map and really mapping things out in that way. And I got the sense that this has to do with adventure and becoming closer to the earth element, in the sense that locations and physical existence represents the earth element of physical manifestation, and being able to take the time to really honor that, because it is like there's the spiritual and then there's the physical, but the spirit exists within the physical, and so we want to honor that through the physical as well. And so this month is kind of about grounding, and that representing the earth element and the idea of the spirit dwelling within the physical matter, which is the manifested energy into a dense physical form of existence. So what is June bad for? June is bad for overindulgence, wanting to be the best, making big commitments. So it's not a good month to make big commitments, is what I was getting. So this is because the energy is shifting too much. But I was getting that towards the end of the month, things kind of settle down more, and it's a better time if you're trying to make big commitments in your life, then that time seems okay. just the beginning of the month may be a little up in the air. So the overall advice for the month of June, what I got was, spend time with family and those you love. Do not give in to pettiness. Show respect and honor show respect and honor, and people will do what you want more than you think. So that's interesting. If you show people respect and honor, they will do what you want more than you think. I also get, we're all in this together, and respect is important as we clear out the skeletons from the closet. If you've watched this video all the way to the end, give it a thumbs up. I always appreciate that. Also, I have a Patreon page. You can join for only $5 a month to see all types of interesting stuff, that crazy stuff that I don't post on YouTube for many different reasons. I will leave a link to that below this video. Be sure to check that out, and subscribe if you have not. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Quick update on my Patreon page. These are some of the things that I have scheduled, as you can see. Of course, these are just a few of the things scheduled. I will have many more videos in between these time slots. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through so you can get a sense of what's coming up here. And many more to come. Just so you can have an idea of what I post, here are some things that I've already posted recently. Keep in mind, I also have crypto as well. And if you would like to join, it's only $5 a month to join. It's $10 if you want the crypto information too. But just the $5 a month has some pretty interesting stuff here. Try and make it very cheap so that anyone can join and not have to worry about the finance of it. So lots of interesting stuff here. If you'd like to join, the link will be below the video. I'm just going to keep scrolling so you can get some more sense of what's here to see. All right. There you go. If you would like to join, link below, $5 a month to join. Thank you, and have a great day.